Hello. Now I'm going to take some time to talk with you about preparing to teach your LLI system with a focus on the higher level systems. When you move up to the red, the gold, or the purple systems for LLI, there's some slight differences than you would have compared to your lower level with the orange, the green, and the blue. When you open up this book, it shows, just as I have on the slide, the lesson format for each day. On the odd day that you will be teaching the lesson, you will have the activities to do before you introduce the text. And when you introduce the new text, this will be on the child's instructional level. And then when you move on to the even number days, you will once again have writing. Their writing book is a little bit different. It's for older children and it has the lines in it. And then you will have an easier level book that you will be working with the children on. When you determine the instructional level for your group, then that will give you the starting point. If you have a reading group that is determined to need LLI for intervention purposes, and they are at a level P instructionally, meaning that they are having difficulty reading a level P book at 95 to 100%, they're reading more to 90 to 94% accuracy, then this would be the appropriate level to start with. When you open up to the level P, this is where the lesson begins on 129, and it gives you the goals and some other important information about teaching. And then it starts with 3 choices. You'll be revisiting the text by either talking about comprehension, vocabulary, or fluency. Please remember to only pick one. This lesson is a long lesson and it's set up to be 45 minutes for a small group of 3 or 4. So you only have a limited amount of time to get through the lesson. After you do the revisiting of the text and using the text to focus on either comprehension, vocabulary, or fluency, then you will move on to some phonics activities. Please do not skip the phonics activities. Even though these children are reading at a higher level, that does not mean that they do not need phonics. So you want to continue on and move on with this phonics activity. In this case, they're working on dividing words up into syllables and syllable patterns. Then it's time to introduce the new book. In this case, for the level P, the very first lesson, they are working on the book, Growing a Giant. And in my folder that I already have labeled, I have the book, Growing a Giant. These texts are much longer, and there's a much longer introduction that the teachers will give before the students start reading. As they are going through the lesson, you'll give them a certain amount of time to read independently. At this level, the students will be sitting around you at your reading table and will be reading the text silently. As you want them to read to you, you would lean in and have them whisper read to you, and you can give them feedback on their reading and help them with their accuracy and with their comprehension, and then have them continue to silently read as you move on to another student at your table. When the time you have allotted finishes, then you will have the students close the book and you'll take some time to discuss the text and have some teaching points. And there are some suggested teaching points, but of course you can go beyond that if you see there are other teaching points that need to be addressed in the accuracy of the reading and the comprehension. The students, because this is a 45-minute lesson, will not have enough time to finish reading this book. As you can see, it is a fairly long book with multiple sections throughout the book, but you still want to give them an opportunity to reread that book. So hold that book because they will get to continue reading it. After you are done with the time that the children are reading with you, discussing and teaching points, then that is the end of that lesson for that odd numbered lesson day. Then the next day, when they come back to your table to read with you, you'll have an opportunity to once again choose on your even number day to do comprehension, vocabulary, or fluency. Another activity is provided. And then they can do some rereading while you are pulling in a student and doing some assessing by doing a running record. As they are doing that, they are rereading the section that you have given them to reread and then continuing to read that book. This book can then be used to go home and be returned the next day for the children to reread and finish this book. This would be their take-home book for that day, where they would take the book home and they would finish reading it at home. Notice that this is not the simple black and white books that the students were taking home before in the lower levels for LLI. These are your nice colored books that they have. These have a very nice take-home bag, or it's called a portfolio. It's a blue portfolio that opens up into 3 sections where they can slide the book in, take it home, take it out, read it, put it back in, and bring it back the next day. These being such nice books, you really want to have a system where the students are making sure they return the books to you every single day so that you know that they are taking good care of the books and returning them. You only get 6 and no black and white copies. As that lesson continues for that day, after rereading, you will have a phonics word study and then a new book. Again, this is the even number, so the easier book that's on their instructional level. So you would go back into your kit, and in this case, they would pull out the book, Getting Even with Stephen. Kids love that book. And have an opportunity to introduce that book and again, do some reading. After you've done the comprehension part of that, then that is the end of your even and odd lesson for that day. Thank you.